So it finally came. So the Switch 2 announcement was made. All right. So I was able to watch the Nintendo Direct yesterday and it was great, man. I loved it. I thought it was really good. I know there is some controversy that kind of happened towards the end there, and we'll go ahead and get into that kind of a little bit later on in the video. But yeah, as far as the Direct goes, I thought it went really well and I enjoyed it, man. I really liked what I saw. I liked the things that we got the information of, and it was really good. I feel like Nintendo did a really good good. I feel like they kind of hit the ball out of the park for the most part until the very end, and then again we'll go over some of that information kind of a little bit later on in the video. But as far as the information that we got so far, I was able to kind of take some notes and everything like that, just so we can kind of see what's going on. Some of the stuff I'm going to mention right here, and then we'll go over a little bit more into detail with it. But yeah, so as far as like the Switch release is going to be, it's going to be on June 5th, so within the next, let's say, like 2 months. We got the price. Again, we'll go into a little bit of that. That's kind of where I feel like they kind of dropped the ball a little bit. We'll get more into detail as far as that goes. And then some of like the features that they were announcing for everyone. So there is the C button. So there was the whole rumors that was going around of what the C button was going to entail and everything like that. And from the information that we got, it looks like the C button is going to be a game chat that they're going to be adding, as well as screen sharing. Now, if you've seen the reveal and everything, for anyone that watched it, you might have noticed, and for anyone that didn't, watch it, just to give a heads up, the game chat seemed like that's going to work out pretty really well. As far as the screen sharing though, it looks like that's going to be a little bit in the works, just because if you were watching the direct while it was happening, you can see the screen share was going on in the bottom of the screen, like the TV that they had, that they were giving the example of, and it looked really slow. It looked kind of slow, a little bit buggy. So I'm not sure if that's going to be something they're going to be trying to work on in the meantime and kind of incorporate a little bit better, so when it does release it'll be at least a little bit better from what we saw in the reveal, as well as over time, by as we go further along in as far as hardware and stuff like that, if they're going to be able to actually improve on that, just because I know there was a lot of issues that people were having with their online service and everything like that. So that was a little bit interesting, kind of seeing the way that they showed it. I mean, kudos to them though, because they actually showed it where it did look a little bit slow and everything. But yeah, that was one of the things. One of the other things we got GameCube games coming to the Switch Online. Personally, I wasn't too excited about that myself, just because I still own my GameCube and I have a big library of GameCube games. So some of the games I did see on there, and we'll go over some of those as well a little bit later, I don't actually own, so that was a little bit unfortunate. But for the most part, like I said, I have a big library. Most of the GameCube games out there are games that I own. I spend a good time trying to collect as much as I can as far as the GameCube goes. So I seen a lot of other people get hyped up, which was really cool. So, kudos to them, and hopefully they were all excited about that. One of the things that I was speculating that some people were kind of thinking that wasn't going to be the case was the fact that it is going to be in 4K. So that is one thing that I'm personally really excited about. I'm really looking forward to, because there was a lot of people that were speculating that it was only going to be able to go up to 1080p. So it looks like they're going to have 4K resolution, which is good, HDR, which it's going to support, which is really good, and then 256 gigabytes of storage. So I think it's like 8 times what the regular Switch is, which is awesome. I think that's really cool. And then as far as the FPS goes, it's going to be running at about 120 FPS at 1080p, or you can have it at 60 FPS, so 60 frames per second, and then that can be able to withstand the 4K. So really just depends on what your preference is. I'll probably try to check it out in 4K personally, just because I feel like it'll look a lot better in that regard compared to you know what I mean, the 1080. But I'll be able to test it out and kind of get a feel of which one I would like. And then as far as when pre-orders are gonna begin, looks like April 9th will be the pre-order date. So about 6 days from now. So pretty much a week from when the direct was shown, so that's going to be a good thing. We got Switch One upgrades for certain games. Now it did say that there are certain games that will be upgraded, so it is kind of looks like it's going to be doing the thing that I think Microsoft had done, as well as Sony did when it came down to the PS4 to the PS5, where you can upgrade the games, and it looks like they are going to have a specific price for it. They didn't mention what that price is going to be just yet, but that is one of the things that it looks like it is going to go in that type of direction, which I mean, with the way that it's been with PlayStation, and then I'm sure with Microsoft, I'm not too mad at it. It really just depends on what that price is gonna be. because one of the things they did show was Breath of the Wild being able to have an upgrade as well as Tears of the Kingdom, and they said that you can upgrade it for a certain price, but they didn't specify what that price is. So me personally, I'm hoping it's not going to be nothing crazy, because one of the things I really did appreciate when it came down to a lot of the PlayStation 4 games to PS5 games was that if you already own the game and you purchased it, it would only cost, let's say, like $10 to kind of give it an upgrade. If it's going to be like $10 each as far as Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I don't really think that'll be too bad, especially if it's going to be able to really upgrade the graphics and the frames per second to the point where it makes it look really beautiful. So that'll be one of the cool things. We got the price for the Joy Cons and the Pro controllers. We'll go over that in a little bit. One of the Pro controllers, or the Pro controller, was revealed, which is really cool. One of the things I had mentioned in a video I did in the past was that we are going to be getting a GameCube controller. Now, I'm interested to see how it's going to be exactly, because it is different from the Switch One, GameCube controller, obviously, because you do have the C button now, and it does look like they have little other features that they're adding to the controller itself. One of the things that they didn't show that I'm like kind of wondering what it's going to be like is if it's going to be similar to the GameCube controller for the Switch One, where you have to include batteries. Now, I'm hoping that's not going to be the case, but again, we'll be able to get a little bit more information of that in the future. So I'm hoping it'll be one of those things where they actually have a charger for it and you don't have to worry about, using batteries, because that was an issue that I personally had with the GameCube controller for the Switch. So I ended up going to a third party company that I got on Amazon. Let me see, I have it right here. So, Exlene, Exlene. That's the GameCube controller that I use for my Switch. It's like a third party company. Really great. It uses a charging pack and it has a rumble feature to it. So I think that was really good. So depending on if they're gonna have batteries or if you can charge the GameCube controller for the Switch too, I'm gonna be going for that controller again, most likely, if that's gonna be the case, if it does require batteries. And then one of the last things I got right here is the mouse controls. So for certain games, you're gonna be able to use the Joy Cons. You'll flip it sideways, and you'll be able to use it like a mouse. So I thought that was actually really cool, and that actually kind of has me a little bit excited. I know I did a video a few weeks back on Age of Empires coming to the PlayStation 5, so I'm kind of hoping they will be able to kind of switch that over where they can give Age of Empires to the Switch 2. I don't know if that'll be the case, but if they can do that, I think that'll be really awesome, because of the fact that they are going to be able to have 4K or 1080p at the most. But at least you'll have the controller to be able to actually use as a mouse. So I think that'll be really cool if they decided to go in that direction. And so yeah, so those are like the main kind of features that I'd written down and kind of gotten down and everything like that. And yeah, just some of these other pages right here we'll go ahead and check out. We got some more information. So this one was just talking about how the main screen for the Switch 2 looks very similar to the Switch 1. Now, this is obviously, this looks very familiar for anyone that has a Switch. Personally, I have mine in dark mode, so I'm kind of curious if I mean, obviously, I feel like they have it for the first one. They should be able to do it for the second one. But yeah, a lot of this looks very similar. Just little icon details that they kind of switched up a little bit just to kind of differentiate it, which is really cool. And then yeah, just the look of the Switch too. I like the Joy Cons. I like the roundness to them and everything. I think it looks really good. So that's one of the things we were able to check out. And then what else we got here? So Switch 2 game sharing. So this was one of the other features they brought out, which I thought was really cool, which is that on certain select games, they are going to have it so that you can play with other players and do screen sharing. So it'll be one of those things where, you can play on your console. If you have other people that have Switches as well, you can connect it to theirs. So you guys can all be playing the same game on your own Switch, which I thought was really fucking cool. So it's one of the nice things as well, because I feel like people like myself that have a Switch already, once the Switch 2 does come out, it is going to be one of those things where you're kind of wondering like, oh, should I just trade my Switch in or should I keep it? But if you can do stuff like this, I feel like it'll be a little bit better for you to keep it, just because, let's say if you have some friends over, some family members or something like that, and you guys want to play a game together, you can kind of keep your old Switch to be able to play some of these games and connect it to the other your older Switch, so the Switch 1. So that was one of the cool things I thought was really awesome that they were able to incorporate. And then one of the other things, controllers and accessory prices. So as far as the things that I mentioned as far as, some of the things I feel like they dropped the ball. We'll get a little bit more into detail in a second, but yeah, I just kind of want to go over but it does have to do with the price. So as far as the Switch 2 controllers, it's going to be coming in at $79.99, so $80. The Joy-Con controllers are going to be $90, which I think is a lot, but you know what I mean? It is what it is. I feel like the controllers have been getting kind of expensive as it is. So depending on how bad like the drift stick drift and everything like that gets, or if the controllers are a little bit messed up, I feel like that hopefully that won't be too much of an issue, because I don't, you know what I mean, just to get some other Joy Cons, I don't want to have to be spending $90. I think that'll be a little bit much. And then we got the charging grip at $35. So the straps would be about $13, which isn't bad. Wheels $20. Personally, I wouldn't use the wheels at all. So the camera, that's another feature that was added, was the camera. So for anyone that didn't see, if you're playing certain games, they are going to have it where you can be using a camera that'll attach to the Switch 2, and it looks pretty cool. It'll be one of those things that'll kind of give you like a green screen, so it'll kind of cut your body out. It'll just show your face, kind of a thing. And it looks like it's going to be one of those things that they have there, so that, let's say if you're playing with some friends or something like that, then you'll be able to kind of see each other. I think there's a photo of it in one of these ones. So right here. So as you can see right here, you got the characters on the bottom. So this would be like, let's say if this was your Switch and then these were just some friends, they have it so instead of the icons of the characters, you can actually have a video of yourself in it, which looked pretty cool. As well as the fact that they showed a Mario Party game where it looks like you can be playing certain mini games where you're going to be using your cutout of your own body and kind of moving around. It'll show you kind of like above certain characters as they're doing stuff, like on Mario Party on the board and everything, which it seemed pretty cool, especially because it seemed like Nintendo's way of trying to have it so that if you do have friends and stuff like that that you can't play with in person, you kind of can somewhat get that little bit of a of in-person experience, which I thought was actually pretty cool. And then the dock itself is going to come in at about 110. So let's say if anything does happen to your dock, you lose it, it breaks, something like that, you're going to be looking at about $110, which is kind of a lot, but it is what it is. And then carrying case and screen protector, it'll be about $35. So all-in-one carrying case will be about $80, and then the AC adapter would be about $30. So most likely to charge your Switch and everything like that. So yeah, I mean, a little bit pricey, but I mean, personally, all I need is just my Switch, the dock, and then a controller for it. And I'll probably won't be getting a Pro controller. Like I said, I'll more than likely be sticking with the GameCube controller just because I love the GameCube controller so much. And then another feature we got was some of the third-party games that are going to be included, which is pretty cool. So as you can see right here, we got Elden Ring, Cyberpunk 2077 was one that was also announced, which I thought was pretty wild. And then we got some here, Bravely Default, Daemon X Machina, Esports, FC 25, Elden Ring, Tarnished Edition. Elden Ring was kind of a big deal because of the fact that, Elden Ring is such a big game and everything. So the fact that they're going to be able to bring that to the Switch 2, I thought was pretty cool. And it's really a testament as to what, the hardware is going to be able to withstand, which is awesome in my opinion. And then we got Hades 2, which I love Hades 1. I never really got too much into Hades 2, so maybe I might be picking it up. We'll see, just kind of how it goes. Just because I never really heard anything about the sequel after the first game, so I've been a little bit skeptical on actually picking that one up. And then Hitman World of Assassination Signature Edition, that one looked pretty cool. Hogwarts Legacy, I think they have Hogwarts Legacy on the Switch already, but for the Switch 2, more than likely it's going to actually bump up the graphics and everything like that, which would be really good. Madden NFL 2025. It was pretty funny. I was watching the direct, and I seen a lot of people in the chat were like F, you know what I mean? A lot of people just didn't really seem to care about Madden. Project 007. And now this is one that I actually did a video on in regards to them announcing that they were going to be working on a new James Bond film. So the fact that it's actually going to be coming to the Switch 2, I think is really cool, and it's definitely something to be looking forward to. And then we got Street Fighter 6, which is a big deal. Split Fiction was announced that it's going to be coming out when the Switch 2 is released. So that will be a game that you can play on that right away, which I'm sure with that, that type of gameplay and everything, a lot of people will be really happy about. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4, and then Yakuza 0 Director's Cut. So a lot of things to look forward to for third-party fans out there, people that are looking forward to playing other games other than just Nintendo games. And the fact that the Nintendo Switch 2 is going to be able to actually run these games because they're going to have better graphics is really cool thing, and it's definitely a big deal. So that's one of the cool things. The Pro controller we got right here that was finally revealed. So as you can see, we got kind of similar to what the regular one is. We got the C button now, which is pretty cool. The back bumpers and all that. And then they have these two buttons right here, which is actually pretty cool. So that's going to be a little bit interesting to kind of see how players can be able to do stuff with that. And then you got the headphone jack right here, which I'm sure a lot of people are happy about. Now, one of the cool things as well is that it was showing on one of the games. I can't remember off the top of my head, where it does seem like you can kind of adjust the button configuration to your liking. So if they're going to be having these two buttons back here, I feel like that's going to be a game changer for a lot of people out there, which is really cool. And then GameCube games being added, so that was something that was, again, not really personally I was really excited about, just because I have a lot of the GameCube games that I want. Pokemon XD, I don't have that one. Mario Kart Strikers, I've had the potential to get that one but just never did. Robot, I forgot the name of this one, Chibi Robo, so never really got into this game myself. Luigi's Mansion I own. Pokemon Coliseum I don't have personally, but I have a buddy that let me borrow his, so I was able to play a little bit of that one. And yeah, that one was pretty bad. It was pretty cool. Super Mario Sunshine, I never owned it on the GameCube, but I do have it on the Switch, so I was able to get Super Mario All Stars. So that's one I'm not too stressed over as far as the owning. And I heard that Mario Sunshine is actually better though on the GameCube, because you can control the bumpers a little bit more, which would affect how much Mario sprays the water. So that is one thing. It is better on the GameCube from what I heard, but like I said, I own a copy of it already, so I'm not too stressed over that. Fire Emblem is one of those games I've had the potential of buying multiple times, but almost every single time I see it, it's in the 100 range. So it'd be like 100 and something, $200 to purchase it. So I'm just like, yeah, that's not gonna be happening for me. So yeah. And then it was announced again, the GameCube controller. Now, as you can see, you can only see the up to right here, so you can't really see the back of it. So I'm not sure. It, from the looks of it, just right here, it does seem like it is going to be something that's going to be able to have a controller. I mean, a charging pack, especially right here. So more than likely, I probably will be purchasing the GameCube controller itself from Nintendo, which is really cool and has me really hyped up, especially because like I said, I love the GameCube controller. And then we got Legend of Zelda Wind Waker, which is going to be coming out, which is really cool. I know a lot of people were excited about. I heard some people were a little bit upset because it did look like they were going to be porting Wind Waker from the GameCube instead of going through with the HD remaster. But from some of the conversations I had heard online and everything like that, it did seem like some people were a little bit upset because of the fact that the HD remaster made some changes to the GameCube version that they weren't really fond of. So the fact that they're switching it up and having it so that you can actually play the GameCube version, I'm sure there's a few people out there that are actually happy about that. And then we got F-Zero GX, which is pretty cool. This is one of the games I own as well, and I do own uh Wind Waker on the GameCube. So again, I wasn't really stressing over that. And then F-Zero GX, I have this one as well. So this is definitely one that I've played before. I didn't beat it, so that's probably one of those games I can probably go back and replay. But yeah, I know a lot of people that were really excited about this information coming out. And yeah, there was no word on Mario Kart Double Dash. So I know some people were looking forward to it, but I think with them coming out with Super Mario, or I'm sorry, Mario Kart Worlds, they probably want to just wait a little bit to release that one, just so that people will be more focused on Mario Kart Worlds before they decide to go with any other type of Mario game. So that's one of the other things right there. And then one of the last features that I thought was actually pretty cool, worth mentioning, was the fact that Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are going to have achievements. So I thought that was really cool, something to look forward to for sure. And I'm from what I've heard, there's going to be more achievements with other games on the Switch too, which I've heard a lot of people kind of mentioning that they wanted, because they like being able to have like those goals to try to go for and those things to try to achieve. So the fact that they're bringing that to the app, I think it's pretty cool. I'm not sure if they're going to actually have anything in the console itself. I'm kind of hoping so, because I feel like not everyone is going to be using the app to you know what I mean, do certain things. I personally downloaded the app, the Nintendo Today app, so I like it a lot so far from what I've been able to check out with it. But I know that that's not everyone's cup of tea. People just kind of want to. Some people out there just kind of want to keep their consoles with their consoles and kind of leave it separate from like their phones and everything like that. So who knows where that'll go as far as that direction goes. But yeah, as far as everything goes for the direct and the reveals and everything, I thought it was really good, and I enjoyed it a lot. Now, With that being said, that was the positives. The one negative that kind of really, I feel like, dropped where they dropped the ball when it came down to the direct was the aftermath, because during the direct they showed a lot of information. Gave a lot of stuff that's going to be coming out and everything, which had a lot of people hyped. But as far as the pricing goes, that's where a lot of people got sour. So me personally, I was hoping it was going to be around the 350 400 range for the release, but from the information that we've gotten so far, the information that's been coming out, it looks like the console is going to be about 450. Now, it's not the end of the world. I feel like that's not the main issue or anything like that. The biggest issue that people are having though right now is the price of Mario Kart Worlds. Now, it looks like that's going to be coming in at about $80 digitally and then $90 for a physical copy. And from the sounds of it, it sounds like the physical copy as well isn't going to be an actual physical copy that you own. It's going to be like a code from what it sounds like. And I could be wrong on that. We're still waiting to kind of get a little bit more information, but I know that this is an issue that's been rubbing a lot of people the wrong way. I've been seeing a lot of people talking online and a lot of people discussing this yesterday when all this information was coming out, that a lot of people are pissed. They're not liking the fact that Nintendo is going this route, especially because of the fact that, Grand Theft Auto has had their talks of wanting to switch things up and make Grand Theft Auto 6 come out at $100. People were speculating that that was going to be the case and they weren't going to be paying that much. I know there's going to be a lot of people that just don't care and they're going to pay that much anyways, but a lot of people were like, I'll be damned if I'm going to be paying $100 for a video game. Now, with Nintendo doing this, it kind of solidifies that to more than likely be the case. But from what I've seen, there's a lot of people that are really pissed off about this. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of this at all. Paying $70 to me was a lot, especially for like something like Tears of the Kingdom. When it was announced that that was going to be $70, my first initial thought was like, God damn, you know what I mean? Like I don't want to have to pay that much. But I do love Tears of the Kingdom, and I did love Breath of the Wild, so I'll be willing to pay that much because I'll be able to, I'm sure, be able to get $70 worth of that game, like from playing it, spending the hours on it, and everything like that. So that for me was a little bit of like the cap that I feel like would be okay. $70, I feel like it's a bit much, but I'm like, I'll still be willing to pay that. $80 though, I don't know what it is, but seeing like that 79.99 for a single game, it I feel like that's gonna be a little bit too much. Now, a lot of people were talking about that when you look online where it's stating that that's going to be the price, it states on the bottom that it's not set in stone. Kind of, I forgot how it's phrased, but pretty much stating that it's not set in stone just yet. That that's going to be the definitive price. There is potential for it to change. So what I'm speculating is that Nintendo is just putting that price out there for now, just to kind of see how it goes, see what people are going to say, and then if it sells, they're going to keep that price at what it is. If people hold their ground, which I'm kind of seeing like it seems like that might be the case. I could be wrong, you know what I mean? Because it could be one of those things is when it comes out, everyone just starts buying it regardless. But from what I've been reading online, there's a lot of people that are like, no, I'm not paying that much money for a single game. They're like, I'm not gonna do it. So I feel like if they get enough people out there to kind of hold the line and keep at it and not go that route where they're willing to pay that much that money, I feel like Nintendo is not going to have any other choice but to bring the price down, which we can only hope for. So yeah, it was a weird one, man, because I was really hyped once the announcement was over and everything, and the direct was done. But as time passed, you started seeing a lot of people talking about the price for the console as well as the games. Some people were saying they didn't like the price of the console, and they didn't like the price of the games, and then others were saying they didn't mind the price being what it is for the update as far as like graphics and hardware and stuff, but it's just that $90 is what they do not like. And I gotta say, I think I'm right there with a lot of people. I don't like having to pay $80 to $90 for a single video game. And one of the things that kind of leaves it is the fact that Mario Kart Worlds is going to be coming in at about $80 to $90, but they did show the new Donkey Kong game, which is going to be coming out. Donkey Kong, I can't remember it off the top of my head. I'm probably going to be doing a video on it, so we'll talk about it a little bit more and then. But it does look like that one's going to be coming in at about $70. So from that information we're getting right there, it looks like it is going to vary from game to game as far as the pricing goes. But At this point, yeah, I'm just waiting to see what they're gonna do because I feel like with the new Hyrule Warriors Zelda game that I'm personally looking really forward to, that one's probably going to be trying to be pushed around $80 to $90, which I'm not going to be a fan of at all. So yeah, I mean, like I said, that's like the main negative I had. I feel like they really did a great job as far as the direct goes, but it was just that pricing that they decided to kind of sneak in there, especially because they didn't announce it during the direct. It was one of those things people had to look up on the website and kind of get that information themselves. And once people actually started seeing that, that's when it started, like, the word of mouth started going around and people started getting really pissed off. So who knows? We'll have to see how players handle this because it does kind of feel like they are weeding out like the families and stuff like that. Because when you see a kid, if they're gonna be asking for a Switch 2 and asking for a $90 game, $80 game, I feel like there's gonna be parents out there that are gonna be like, no, like, I'm sorry, but no, we're not paying that much money. As well as the fact that there's gonna be just regular people, adults like myself, that are gonna be like, that's a bit much, man. Especially in today's economy with with the way a lot of people are struggling, it's not looking good in that regard. So yeah, but as far as the direct goes itself, I thought it was really good. I liked a lot of the information that came out. There are some games that were announced that I'm going to be doing some videos on. So just like a little reaction videos, watching the trailer with you guys, and then I'll be able to show you guys what they are and kind of give my thoughts along with it. So we'll go for there, and then yeah, so it should be coming out a little bit later today, and then we'll go ahead and see what we got there. But yeah, those are my thoughts on that. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Did you guys really enjoy the direct with all the information that was able to come out, everything that was stated? And do you guys feel like the price range for the console is good? And how do you guys feel as far as the pricing for the games? Like I said, the console I feel like is a little bit more than I expected, but at the same time, I'm kind of okay with it, just because with all the improvements and everything that it looks like we're going to be getting, it's not too bad. But as far as the games go, I'm not a fan. I'm not really liking the price hike that we got. So if you guys can let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments, if you guys could like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you guys have been watching this long, I really appreciate it. It means a lot. And yeah, until next time, Harmonic out. Peace.